If your business runs large-scale analytic queries, you're probably familiar with Snowflake. Snowflake is a very popular platform for storing and querying analytic data. In today's demo, I'll show you how to get data from CockroachDB, perhaps your primary OLTP transactional database, into Snowflake, which might serve as your OLAP database, your analytics database. I'll do this all locally with the help of LocalStack. Personally, my favorite tool for testing cloud integrations on my machine. This is what we'll create today. We'll have a CockroachDB database that will be receiving transactions, and we'll be exporting them via CDC into an S3 bucket, which will have an SQS queue attached to it. And from then on, we'll use Snowpipe to get the data into Snowflake for analytics. I won't be performing any analytic queries, but it's just to show you how the two can integrate. My compose file looks like this. I'll be running LocalStack's Snowflake emulator, and what this allows me to do is run integration tests locally. Essentially, CockroachDB and Snowflake, along with all the plumbing in between, can form part of my CI/CD process. And I'll also run CockroachDB. Let's spin up the containers now. And I'm using Terraform tflocal from LocalStack, which essentially is a wrapper over Terraform to apply the infrastructure. Let's take a look at that. I'm creating an S3 bucket along with a policy that allows me to send messages to the SQS queue. I'm creating the SQS queue itself. It should be called SF Snowpipe Test. That's an internal requirement of LocalStack at this time. And then finally, I'm creating the bucket notification that will send the message from the bucket to the queue. We'll apply that. And with the infrastructure created, let's move on to CockroachDB. I'll hop on, create a table. This will be storing orders for a fictional e-commerce website. I'll enable range feeds, and then I'll create the change feed itself. Note that I'm specifying the bucket, and my endpoint is simply the local Docker container for the Snowflake emulator, and my credentials, because it's a local instance, can be anything. On the Snowflake side, I'll connect. I'll create a table called order alerts. It can be called anything, but essentially this will be the target for the change feed. This is where all my events will go from Cockroach through S3 and into Snowflake. I'll create my stage. A Snowflake stage is simply a staging environment for data. It's where the data is staged before it goes to the tables, and that will reference the bucket. And finally, I'll create my pipe. It will auto-ingest and copy data from our stage into the order alerts table. At this point, everything's set up. Any data that I insert into CockroachDB will automatically get inserted into Snowflake, extracted from CockroachDB via CDC, into S3, and then into Snowflake. Let's insert some data into Cockroach. I'll insert 5 orders. Let's take a look at S3. That's our data in S3. So that's our data, the 5 rows that we just inserted. And if I do a select in Snowflake, we'll see that all 5 rows are present. Let's run a quick bulk insert, inserting 10,000 orders. And as our data comes over from CockroachDB, it will appear in Snowflake. As we can see, there are a lot more than 5 rows coming across now. And that will be a constant stream of data from CockroachDB. I've just demonstrated how you can emulate Snowflake locally with the help of LocalStack, but the same holds up if you're talking directly to Snowflake itself. With this setup, I can run assertions on my code, check the integration between my components, any applications that might be interacting with my orders database, the orders database itself, and the CDC change feed from there, the AWS environment that stages data for Snowflake in S3 and SQS, and Snowflake itself. Give CockroachDB, LocalStack, and their Snowflake emulator a try today to see how you can test your own integrations with CockroachDB and Snowflake.